Hello, welcome to Mixlife number 75. Apparently flying solo again. Thank you for tuning in. First off, second off, if you have any questions, concerns, personal insults, just go ahead and throw them out there in the chat. That would be very much appreciated. Gives me something to do other than, trying to come up with something off the top of the dome. Koppel is currently buried underneath an avalanche of spam cans, and Adam is getting a bikini wax. So it looks like you're stuck with just me this evening. Hello, Mr. Burgundy. How's it going, man? Mix life, right? This is the part where I talk about all the really cool mixing that I've been doing all week. I have been doing very little mixing. It has not been a good week for me in terms of mixing. I have been doing a little bit of flavor testing, but not too much in the mixing way. Hey, Indy's best. How's it going, man? So stuff I've been testing lately, Vape Train cookies and cream, right? So I do need a second opinion on this because when anybody says cookies and cream, I assume that they're talking about like normal cookies and cream. Like I've never seen like anybody refer to something as cookies ampersand cream that wasn't some variation of like an Oreo. But Vape Train cookies and cream, no chocolate whatsoever. It doesn't do the Oreo thing. It's not bad. The cream flavor in there probably leans a little bit more towards like a non-dairy creme. Like it has some richness and fattiness to it, but it doesn't really have any like overt creamy notes. It also has just a little bit of like almost a baked cookie aroma to it too, which is super interesting. But it's not necessarily the kind of thing you want to really pick up if you are looking for like a normal ass cookies and cream. So thank you for confirming that, Mr. Burgundy. I thought I was going crazy. I even did the Google thing, which is always useful when you're talking about like flavors from a different country like Australia. Like I was completely baffled by their description of lemonade. Like apparently it's Sprite there, whatever. So I figured like Australia, oh, maybe in Australia cookies and cream isn't Oreo stuff. But no, I think it's pretty much still Oreo-ish stuff. So I don't know what went on there, but decent flavor. Trying to write about Yogurt Drink by Vape Train 2, and that's been really interesting because I really, really like Vape Train's Yogurt Drink. It's based on like, I guess, drinkable yogurt, if you want to narrow it down like that. And it's good, but it's very lemony. It has like a little bit of tanginess. It almost reminds me of like a lemon curd milkshake, which is really cool, but I've been trying to like break that down and explain exactly what's going on with that, but it's delicious. Oh, so yeah, Oreo for sure. That's two people. You're wrong, Australia. I'm sorry. We'll talk about consequences later. Oh, yep. And Labros I don't know if I'm saying that right or whatever. But yeah, I definitely get a little bit of vanilla in there too. And I think that's kind of what makes me think more about like the creme from inside of a sandwich cookie as opposed to like an actual like ice cream base. Like it has some actual flavor to it. It just doesn't really seem like a cookies and ice cream flavor. So it's like a vaguely cookie-ish vanilla creme filling kind of flavor. It's not bad. It's maddening because it's supposed to be an Oreo. Single flavored cap hot cocoa reminded me of sitting in a spring soccer game. Hey, okay, well that's something I'd never tried before. That's definitely one for the list. If they did a cocoa flavor that didn't have any like weird plasticky gross off notes, that's awesome. We'll have to pick that one up. Just checking out checking out the chat here, trying to get flavor tips. Yeah, so Yogurt Drink was another one that I've been testing. Vape Train's fresh milk, a little bit funky. Maybe a little bit too funky. I don't know. I think when people talk about creams and vaping, they don't really want something too heavy on the dairy. So I know their sweet cream is apparently, again, like one of those like more artificial like creme kind of flavors, but might be a little bit too butyric and buttery to really speak out. I think TPA's dairy milk is already like my go-to for vague hint of dairy grossness. But yeah, it's okay. Oreo ice cream cake is fat boy heaven. Dude, ice cream cakes are lit. And I'm sorry I'm too old to use that terminology, but that's just what popped in my head because I too am a fat boy and I love my ice cream cakes. Oh, hey Ray, how's it going, man? Yeah, so I didn't have like a really heavy agenda for today. One of my faves is vape train is sugarloaf, but I haven't nailed it in the recipe yet. Yeah, I really like that sugarloaf, and I haven't done nearly enough playing around with it. I have heard it. Oh, it's natural. It's not natural to me. It like reminds me more of like a less acidic and more balanced kind of like bright candy pineapple, kind of like if TPA pineapple was better than it was. Really solid, but I haven't had a chance to mess with it a whole bunch. Hey, Rusty. Yeah, so one of my plans for today, to go ahead and try to fill some time, because I am going to tap dance my way through this hour, however possible. I was going to mix up a recipe tonight because I haven't been mixing a whole lot of recipes. So, what I was going to try to take a look at was a collaboration joint. I guess it is in sort of discussion about who did what. I think they're both trying to give each other credit. But Alfred Pudding and ID10T, the mighty ID10T, had a recipe called the Back Nine that has 15% TPA sweet tea. So, hey, Steam. There's the mustache we've come to love and disdain. Yeah, yeah, mostly the disdain thing. That's the one that I want to encourage because if enough people hate watching me do these, other people will show up for the shows. So, but yeah, I did want to go ahead and give the Back Nine a mix today and see how that worked out. Let me see if I can set up a screen share so I can talk about the recipe a little bit. Oh, okay, screen share. Nobody judge me for my weird icons. Holy shit, we're in the Matrix. Oh, there's the Back Nine recipe. That was horrifying. I'm very sorry that that happened. So, the Back Nine is not really my recipe. It's supposed to be a collaboration with Alfred Pudding and, Isomo Dog, which is a name that I have heard but never had to try to pronounce before. So, I apologize for slaughtering that. But figured it was kind of interesting. I kind of run counter cyclical on my vapes. Like everybody's like, oh, it's time for like deep heavy fall vapes and shit. Like I get tired of those kind of flavors within about a week. So I'm back to just mixing whatever the hell. But I did want to go ahead and give this a mix today. So Flavora is the heart of this thing, but it's only at 1% in TFA sweet tea is at a whopping 14%. This is, yes, using only one flavor to bend another involves adding a small amount of something to pull another flavor in one direction or another to turn something it isn't. But in this case, the relatively strong lemon tea is getting pulled slightly by the stupidly weak TFA sweet tea. So yeah, that explains that 14%, which is impressive. Looks like the recipe also has 3 of the bourbons in there that Dave likes to use quite a bit. It's good. You got the booze from the vape train, the oak from the Flavora bourbon, and the kind of sweetness from the Kentucky bourbon. So that seems solid. There's some Polar Blast in there for cooling. The final addition meant to make this refreshment extra refreshing and make the cold things should be cold crowd happy. Thank you. I'm one of those people. I was chosen over WS23 because it's more of a back-end cooling that doesn't get weird with the vape train, bourbon's warm booze top note the way the WS23 had. So got some of that in there, and then some Cap Super Sweet, and then some Shisha Lemon, I'm guessing, to, let's see, we don't just want tea with a lemon wedge, though we want lemonade, and where Shisha Lemon and Cap Super Sweet does that. So, all in all, looks like a very solid recipe. I apologize. Screen's going to go weird again. Holy shit, I think we survived. That's amazing. Okay, so yeah, I am definitely going to go ahead and mix that up right now. I don't have any like super weird bumper music or anything, but I am going to give it a mix really quick. So let's see. Start out 1% of Vape Train bourbon. I really like this. It's one of the things that actually, like Vape Train's alcohols, like I know that I talked a ton about it, but it is one of the things that finally made cocktail vapes work that much better for me because they're legitimately boozy. So mad respect to Vape Train's bourbon. Should probably actually hit mix on this, because I'm usually pretty good about doing it off the top of my dome, but I'm also trying to talk at the same time, so I will screw it up. So we're going to go in order very carefully. It'll be great. Got 1% of that. Boom. Okay, Flavora bourbon. This is the oak in the recipe. There isn't much actual bourbon here, but there is a good amount of charred oak. It is a very good charred oak flavor. Lately, I've been kind of preferring TPA's red oak. A, because it's a little bit cheaper, and B, it's not Flavora bourbon just because I wanted to switch it up a little bit, but it's pretty good. Oh, there's a new cannabis flavor from TPA. I don't have any thoughts. I haven't tried it. I haven't tried any of their terpenes either, which I would actually be interested in because I like those like piney terpene flavors. That's one of the things that I like the most about like Yakima hops. But yeah, I haven't tried anything like that. Okay, and then this Flavora bourbon's a little bit stronger. He wants to put 0.5% in there. Good enough. Okay, the next bourbon, Kentucky bourbon. This is the one that doesn't have much going on besides a little bit of warmth and sweetness. 1% here, which is a little on the low side, but there's a lot going on in this recipe, so he's probably not completely wrong. Okay. Next, we have Loras Lemon Tea, which at 1% is apparently the star of the show. We will test this. Anybody else like compulsively sniff flavors whenever they open them up? I'm just now realizing I'm doing it and I'm still on camera, which is weird. I don't have the cool like dual camera setup where you can see the scale because A, it's filthy, and B, my entire desk is filthy, so just use your imagination. Yeah, shout out Rusty, seriously. Like I'm shoving that up my nose every single time I open them up. Oh, Polar Blast, 0.4%, which actually isn't a lot of Polar Blast. It's one of the weaker cool ones, and I just tried to sniff it again. Ugh. Okay, we got Polar Blast. 1% of the Shisha Lemon, and Shisha Lemon's really good. I don't think it's as good as like Inawera Lemon was in its prime before it got reformulated, but it's very, very solid. Oh, High Concrete, help me please. Many of my liquids and shake and vape taste great, but with a steep they lose body sweetness, creaminess. What could be wrong? So I'm just gonna go ahead and knock out the obvious culprit. You're not like heating them or anything weird like that, because if you're like trying to heat them or using any kind of like mixer or ultrasonic or something, that's probably not a good thing, and that will tend to eat your flavors in the long run. Losing body, I'm not so sure about, because that's one of the things that steeping actually does generally is add extra body, which makes me think that maybe it's like a heat issue or something, or you're like storing them in direct light, because generally you should have a lot of body. Sweetness shouldn't change all that much either. And then creaminess. Generally they get more creamy as they steep. So what's your setup and what kind of recipes are you talking about? Oh, Shisha Lemon, we got 1%. Yeah, because that's like the opposite complaint that people get about steeping, that like fruits fade and everything becomes like dark and muddled. They aren't usually losing like body sweetness and creaminess. Like that's what steeping should be doing for you. So there's something else at play here. Oh, super sweet, which is a lemonade. Fuck it. It's not like it's going to get more harsh with the lemon. Super sweet. He wants 0.4%. Should probably ignore that and put in whatever you want. The sweetener is one of those things that is like super, super subjective. And I don't think this recipe is going to fall apart with too much sweetener if you're into it. So I'm mixing a 15 milliliter bottle, and I need to have 2.1 milliliters of TPA sweet tea, which is pretty amazing. I literally just bought this sweet tea for something I was working on, so I'm glad that I'm using 2 milliliters of it at a time because I wasn't super into it, but I know Dave's been digging it lately. And then that's it. Cool. Because I'm a lazy slob, just take some of ye old premix that I use for my single flavor testers. So this is going to be something stupid like 40% VG, but whatever. Okay, cool. No, we got a bottle of juice mixed. Excited to try this one. I love bourbon and I like citrus, so I want to see how it works. See, I get the fall thing, but I guess I'm just like a fruitier, like weirder vapor in general. Like I can't vape the same thing all day, and any kind of like bakeries or anything just get like super heavy for me super quick. I also haven't yet had a vape that I was like, hey, you know what, you know what tastes good here? More pumpkin spice. And I feel like a lot of fall vapes fall into that trap. Like pumpkin spice is a cancer because it always is just overbearing wherever you put it. Yeah, see, Rusty vapes fall shit all year. I vape summer shit if your summer is also super weird. I vape a lot of cooling all year long. I vape a lot of fruits all year long. That's not to say that Deer Lodge isn't a fantastic recipe. My big fall recipe that I put out in like February, that's a spiced apple cider hot pudding thing, but looks about mixed. For the day, we got a McDonald's sweet tea flavoring. That's all I need on tea, along with Earl Grey. So McDonald's sweet tea, is that like Lipton or is that its own thing? Because the TPA sweet tea, I guess at crazy percentages, isn't that far off from like Lipton or whatever, especially with some extra sweetener. Okay, we'll call that mixed. Oh, should probably wick something, right? What do you say we use the, what do I have coiled up? I'm gonna use a Geek Vape Loop of all things. That should be fun. We'll use the Geek Vape Loop. Oh yeah, no, Steam. I have no idea whatsoever how to market my recipe. So yeah, I'll just put it out whenever because I'm bad at marketing in general. Oh, back to my degenerate big bag of Muji cotton. What percentage would you recommend TFA sweet tea solo? I mean, 20% by itself. I think it would help quite a bit if you like did maybe 10 to 12% by itself and then put in a good deal of sweetener. If you like super sweet, use like a lot of super sweet comparatively. So maybe even up at like 1%. If you use the Flavor West sweetener, like 2%, or even this would be probably be a pretty good use case for TFA sweetener because it will kind of mellow it down a little bit and it works with the beverage mouthfeel. But yeah, 10, 12%, some extra sweetener. That'd probably be my single flavor. Oh, hoping the Liquid Barn brings back that cranberry cobbler. Yeah, that cranberry cobbler was super interesting, and I'd be a whole lot more interested in it if they re-released it without whatever cranberry component. Like the fruit there didn't work for me at all, but the cobbler was really good. And that's something I haven't ran into with a lot of the like old line Liquid Barn flavors. They didn't generally have great texture as far as bakeries, but the cobbler texture in that was solid. Oh, I love you, Steam. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not great at flavoring. I just enjoy weird flavorings, and occasionally one of them works. Nobody else sees the 400 failed attempts for every one recipe that kind of works out. High risk, high reward, right? Having a hard time getting your cranberries to work, Joey. Which cranberries are you using? because I think I did note it on cranberry with the crew, and we basically came to the conclusion that yeah, you should probably just use Flavora cranberry. Oh, Steam's dropping links. Oh, yeah, there you go. The Liquid Bar pumpkin pie. That pumpkin pie was interesting. It wasn't bad. It's been a year since I tested it, but I remember the spice note being like almost a little bit petroleum-ish. Like the spice was a little overbearing and something was a little bit weird, but it's definitely better than just a straight pumpkin spice flavor. And there is actually some pumpkin in there, which is kind of a step forward. Okay, so you're using Flavora then. What are you trying to do with your cranberries? Making a cobbler out of them? Because if you use like, oh, I'd probably start low just to see what works. But if you're using under 1% of Flavora cranberry, you could put some liquid amber in there to kind of gelatinize them a little bit, make them a little bit darker. You might be able to sneak in like maybe a tiny bit of TPA blackberry or something if you want like a darker if you want like a darker flavor out of it to actually go for like a baked cranberry cobbler. But those are just thoughts off the top of the dome. Oh, hey, Sub Vapes, got Yakima hops because you mentioned it a lot. I don't know what to do with it. What is something simple I can mix it up in? So mix it up with like an apple flavor. Works really well with something like Fuji's maybe a little bit bright, but if you have like Caps double apple or something, apple and hops together work really well. Melon flavors get really interesting, like a whole lot of very strong like candy watermelon flavor with a little bit of hops underneath it. It's really interesting too. Works well with citrus, lime and hops, lemon and hops, anything like that. It can get a little bit on the harsh side, but my favorite thing to do with it really is just like really quick fruit pairings. I think my like big squonker setup right now, I have some FA Aurora in there with some hops and some mint, and I'm really, really digging that right now. That was pretty cool. Oh, Liquid Bar and Baker's Touch is another spice you can play around with if you like seasonal flavors. Yeah, Baker's Touch is really good. I think it does the like not streusel. I think streusel is what happens when you bake it, but like the vaguely liquid like cinnamon sugar layer inside a pastry really well. Shit, I hadn't even thought of mixing it with TFA banana nut bread. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we are wicked. I'll drip some of this. I use a lot of polycone caps and glass bottles because I rewash stuff, which doesn't make for very easy dripping for the first bed off. So I usually just use a pipette for it because I have every pipette in the entire world. So I've got to come up with some way to justify buying all of them. Smells good though. Smells like somebody's drunk uncle in July, which is pretty awesome. We do need to bring back playing golf as an excuse to get hammered in the middle of the day. So shout out to Jack Daly, I think it was. That's what when Arnold Palmer with vodka is. Okay, 50 watts, 0.2 ohms. These are some kind of fused Clapton. I think these are China Claptons, not the fancy ones, but it'll work. Yeah, 14% of TPA sweet tea is definitely not overpowering there, which is weird. Not that I was expecting it to be bad. Tend to trust Dave and now Alfred Pudding on these things, but setup needs some actual wattage. Yeah, I always feel bad about like hitting people up for coils though, because generally I'm pretty cheap, and also it makes me super uncomfortable when people send me things. Um, So I usually just roll with whatever. You always get a funk from Canthol. Yeah, I like stainless for the most part, although I have been using more Canthol. I don't know. I like the flavor from stainless a little bit. No, I know you're supposed to be like cautious about dry burning it and all that other stuff because I'm going to die of chromium poisoning or something. But kind of like stainless for flavor. But yeah, I've been using a lot of Canthol. Kind of skipped the whole nichrome thing. Honestly, just went from straight on from Canthol to stainless steel and haven't really looked back. See, stainless pops some fruit flavor, so that makes sense. So you actually know things about vaping, Steam. I'm just out here wildly speculating. Okay, so I am definitely getting the tea, which is good. Like I was saying, the 14% sweet tea seems completely irrational, but it works and it works well. It doesn't call attention to itself. It's hard to get a black tea flavor that isn't overwhelming or too earthy or kind of gross. This one actually works. So yeah, 1% Loras Lemon Tea with 14% TPA sweet tea. Apparently that's a taste sensation. I do like the tea note here quite a bit. Lemon is coming through pretty clear. It's not doesn't taste super realistic to me, but I think that's the sweetener and that's the shisha lemon. I think the lemon in Flavor's lemon tea is probably the realistic part, but then like all of the artificial lemon is just kind of punching it back in. So that's kind of what I'm getting right off the bat. Yeah, earthy, tastes like dirt. You find out all sorts of cool ways to say bad things about flavors and not sound like a complete jackass. Like earthy means it tastes like dirt. Butyric means it tastes like vomit. Um, Chemical can mean one of many things. Plasticky, there's all sorts of fun adjectives you can use if you don't want to like sound like you're complaining and sound objective. Hey, Emily. Yeah, and it could just be that I don't vape with a lot of super sweet. I usually use flavorless sweetener, but the lemon does feel a little bit maybe candied here. I think it kind of gets the point across with the profile. It's not like a super intricate profile or anything. And I definitely taste a clear lemon that's just maybe a little bit candied for me right off the bat. The tea's good though. That's what I'm noticing more when I vape this more. Like I don't know if it's the Kentucky bourbon or just like that higher concentration of sweet tea, but it actually has like a little bit of warmth to it like tea does. Like I know like even if you're drinking like iced tea or whatever, it's like a warmer flavor and it definitely conveys that pretty well. Yeah, I definitely like the tea. I'm not getting a ton of bourbon out of this, but that's probably good. I think it probably benefits the actual balance of the recipe. Not everybody has a broken brain like I do and want my cocktail vapes like super boozy. Like I'll take that vape train bourbon up to like 4% or whatever, just because I like that really aggressive boozy punch. That 1% vape train bourbon is just enough to kind of really sell like a more mild bourbon flavor. Um, the the oak from the Favor bourbon. It's not bad, not overwhelming, seems very well balanced, doesn't call attention to itself, but it also kind of builds on how well that bourbon works. It sells the profile a little bit more. And then the Kentucky bourbon is mostly just their sweetness for me, a little bit of warmth. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, it's not the way I'd mix a cocktail. Not like talking vaping wise, but like in real life. But there's a reason I don't mix cocktails anymore because mine would probably be like 3/4 bourbon. But yeah, it's a solid ass recipe. So if you're looking at it, shout out to Isoma Dog, Dave, and Pudding. This is a very solid recipe. It's released at the exact wrong time of year, but maybe come back to it in like April. Oh, I think it's a must mix if you're into the profile. I don't think it goes to the point of like, hey, this is something that's so amazing you need to try it. Even if it isn't your thing, this isn't something you necessarily need to experience. But if you're into the profile at all and you're looking for something like that, super, super solid. Oh, 60% bourbon, 20% tea, 20% lemonade. Yeah, somewhere around there. See how much of a fifth of Old Crow you can fit at the bottom of the glass. Oh, Flavor West Creme de Menthe is another seasonal flavor I'm loving. Yeah, that's really good. You're not allowed to say Shindo in this chat, though. I feel like Adam, if he goes back and actually watches this, will go into a rage. But no, solid, solid fucking flavor. Actually, I think it was on the noted for creme de menthe too, when we talked about that. Yeah, I think that's my final take. I think if I had to change anything, and I'm not sure that how you would do it given the available flavors, I think that it does a good job given what they were working with. But I feel like maybe that lemon is a little bit too lemon heads ish. I would probably have a time machine and go back and get Anywhere's lemon mix and use that instead of shisha lemon. And I think you'd probably be okay dropping some of the sweetener here just because it's amping up that lemon head thing more than actually making the sweet tea a lot sweeter. So the lemon's maybe a little bit artificial. But if it's something you're interested in, the back nine is really, really solid. I have never had Loran's creme de menthe steam. I guess I'm missing out. I'm missing out a lot of Loran stuff. I think I added it up. I have like a grand total of 7 Loran's flavors. And a lot of other ones. That's something I didn't really get too far into. Oh, yeah. Creme de menthe solo. Graham's got it. And the green stuff. That's the cool thing about Loran's is you can tell how dedicated you are to mixing if you use the colored stuff. Colorless flavors are for cowards. Oh, the only mints I use anymore is creme de menthe and white chocolate peppermint. Yeah, I mean, whatever. That white chocolate peppermint isn't bad. It just isn't super minty. I just like a lot of mint. Just all sorts of mint. Pick up a dram when you get a chance. I don't want to pick up drams, man. I live in the future. We can order our flavors from websites and stuff. I don't have to go to like the craft store or order it off Amazon. Although I understand the appeal. I'm just lazy. And if I can't get on Bull City, I usually just don't buy it. Just get it at Walmart. There we go. Alternative sourcing for all of you people that shouldn't be watching this channel and can't order online. But no, that was pretty much the extent of my planned content for the day. I wanted to talk about that, answer any questions from the chat, just bullshit for a while. Saw another interesting recipe the other day, and I feel like it's kind of pandering at this point, just because I like anything with hops, and I really like rhubarb. But Alfred Pudding just put out a Blitz recipe that looks super interesting that has rhubarb and hops in it. So I definitely need to mix that up at some point. Start with LA Banana Cream Color and mix Fizz's Nana Cream clone a couple of years back. Shine my flashlight on the bottle. It looked like uranium. Pretty neat stuff. Yeah, see, that's the entire thing. Like, I have this love-hate relationship with colored flavors. Like, I realize that I shouldn't be vaping them. Like, food coloring in general, completely unnecessary, health-wise or otherwise. It just adds nothing in terms of flavor. It's a useless additive at the very best. But, and I want to say but, it makes me happy when my mixes are colored. Like, I think the only colored flavor I have right now is Crystal Blue by Decadent Vapors, and just having a blue mix makes me insanely happy. So I probably shouldn't talk too much shit on colored Loran's flavors. Graham wants me to acknowledge that you can reuse the Loran drams for your crack after. So I there we go. Please don't be mad at me, Graham. I don't know if I could handle it if you were mad at me too. I'm actually out of Decadent Vapors Crystal Blue, which is a goddamn shame. I only had a 10 mil of it. I got to get some more at some point. It's super fun stuff. Oh, Crystal Blue. Yeah, so not only is Crystal Blue kind like blue colored, it's obnoxiously blue colored. So this is a little bit green because it has Innoware's natural mint in it. But just, I'd call that like realistically maybe about 4 drops went in there. So yeah, that's quite the color change. It's an aggressively flavored color. I shouldn't like it, but it makes me happy whenever. So, dude, you want to talk about dark Flavor West yellow cake? Let's see. I don't use a lot of it. So this bottle's probably about 1.5 2 years old at that point. It's not quite black, definitely getting there, which is pretty cool. Oh, I think the other one that got super dark that wasn't supposed to be dark, that's my Flavor West Rice Crispy type. Obviously, I didn't really like this one. I think this again is like pushing at least 2 years old. It's just aging and maturing the flavors. I think Dave was the person who originally said, hey, you might like the Geek Vape Loop. And it hasn't replaced my recoils by any stretch of imagination. But for like a fuck around atomizer I bought for $25, it's kind of cool. Just have it sitting around. I like it more than I liked the Dead Rabbit or the Drop. I can't say that. Yeah, no, you're just getting extra age on it. It's like a fine wine. You just leave your Flavor West yellow cake around until it's just jet black. Yeah, I don't know if, I mean, I guess I'm talking about atomizers now, but if you're looking at the Geek Vape Loop, it's kind of cool. It's kind of a goofy setup. Flavor's not fantastic, but the airflow does go from the side up over the coil, so the flavor's generally pretty decent. The wicks are kind of long. I found that it has a little bit of trouble keeping up with like my monster drags and stuff if it's not super juiced up, but it's solid enough for like a $25 atomizer. I think they have like 8 new versions of it now because China, but see, you keep talking about the profile RDA, dude. I'm trying to not buy more vape shit until some of it like breaks or I give more of it away. Although at this point, I need to break about half of these just because I am getting a little bit bored of the shit I have. I think I do most of my vaping through still using the OG recoils, still rocking the recurve on a squonk. I did bust back out the Berserker Mini too, on top of like one of the little Wismex squonk things or whatever that I've been vaping. I've given up on salts at this point. And so I have been using like 12 to 18 milligrams of decent free base in like a mouth-to-lung setup. See, if I found some smokers to be charitable to, I would have to interact with other people. So it's kind of a no for me. At least in person. I like the safety of a computer screen. That works out okay. The Voltrove version 2, 41 millimeter. I'm excited when you say 41 millimeter. So that's got to be like one of those like giant atomic warhead looking things. I forget what the 30 millimeter atomizer was. I think it was the warhead. Oh yeah, 41 millimeters. Jesus, that's gigantic. That's obscene. It's absolutely obscene. Yeah, no, that's absolutely hideous. And it's $100, which is pretty great. Capacity is 30 milliliters, so that is a plus. Frosted acrylic tank section. So, oh, and it's cool too. So they warn you that heavy menthol or citrus juices cause issues with acrylic tank sections. So me vaping my shit tons of mint would be a problem, but it does come with a short kit. So yeah, I see no reason not to buy this. That's definitely where all of your one-shot purchases are going from now on. It's amazing. And Graham's been talking like it was hard for Graham, but he did admit that he really liked the Pulse X RDA. So that just the fact that he would say that makes me want to take it seriously. Got so many like non little tiny flavor addies I need to actually go ahead and catch up on. Oh, triple triad 250C for Christmas. Yeah, no, that's baller. Yep, Steam is exactly right. If you can get Decadent Vapors Absinthe, it is absolutely worth the price premium. It is that much better than TFA's Absinthe. It comes with glass, though. Okay, that's good. That's good because that was my biggest problem. Was my mint juices may crack the acrylic tank. I don't know. Like I'm a bigger dude and all, and I don't like tiny atomizers, but I feel like that would just distress me. Like, what the hell do you put that on top of? Like a hammer of God or like one of those 4 battery iJoy Maxo quad things that they're selling on Fast Tech for like $12 now. Oh, yeah, Decadent Vapor sub. Yeah, it's one of the things that's absolutely worth it from them. I know that Chefs, I think that's one of the Decadent Vapors flavors that Chefs actually carry, so it's easy to get your hands on and completely worth it. You run pretty large 4 millimeter ID coils pushed up pretty high in the chamber and get solid flavor. Yeah, I don't doubt you. I'm just saying, I think I would get insecure looking at that. It would make me question a couple of very personal things about my life, and I don't need that kind of inferiority complex. Graham's talking about the Pulse X again. Um, halfway between full size and a slam cap. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I look at a lot of those kind of RDAs, like Graham's talking about the profile of the recoil and stuff. I don't get the little tiny 22 millimeter RDAs. They've never really spoke to me. Some of them are better than others. I am definitely on team the Wasp is super overrated. I actually kind of liked the Nudge 22 millimeter. That was pretty good. I don't have an authentic because, like, I guess I shouldn't admit this on the YouTube or whatever, but I do have a clone of the Entheon, and that was better than the clone of the Hadley, but I ain't making that kind of $100 original money. Graham just wants me to pulse my fleshlight. I don't even have a fleshlight in front of me right now. I've got to go back to the closet and pick out one of the 12. Yeah, that top side looks fucking awesome though. Yeah, top side is too expensive. Yeah, it looks fucking awesome though, because that's the thing. Like I've never understood those goofy ass like squonk refill bottles because you're still just pushing air back and forth between things. That actually seems like a really, really solid solution. Now, if it leaks, I mean that's a bummer. But yeah, I mean it's a good idea. I think my favorite squonker is still the shameless plug for the rage, but I like that one quite a bit. And shameless plug for the obscenely large Jennifer Jarvis drip tip on top, just to keep everything cool. The Vapor Giant, is that the stacked 26,650? I'm gonna get that just so I can feel what tiny people feel like with normal tube mods. Yeah, shout out to Dwayne. Like, granted, I didn't pull the trigger when the Rage was $100, but he actually runs recoilrda.com, which you can buy directly from him. And I caught like a $50 sale, honestly, and this has been really solid. I mean, I'm cheap, but $50 was more than worth it. So, Joey, what do you think of the recurve? Because I really like the recurve for squonking. I think that's pretty much just been my go-to for like an actual sub-ohm squonker since I've got it. It basically hasn't left the Rage since I bought the recurve. So just run through the 8 million setups that are currently littering my desk right now. The intake is your fave tank. Who makes the intake? Because that sounds spooky. Og vape, you say? I mean, but dude, bubble glass. Come on. Like, I get that it's theoretically useful, but I will totally get on board team bubble glass is completely overrated. Like, it's aesthetically a nightmare, and I guess I don't use enough sub-ohm tanks or RTAs or whatever to really have strong opinions on it, but just bubble glass looks weird as hell. Yeah, Carolina Vaping. I've been on a really hard hardware freeze too. I really have to wait for some of this shit to break before I buy anything new. Like in terms of mods, like I still have an IPv4 that will blow up if you put the batteries in the wrong way, and it won't break, so I can buy something else instead of it. It's frustrating, is what it is. I do have the single coolest mod in the world, though. If I've never shown this off to you people, got the Flavora Sig 150. That is my crown jewel right there. It's also got the sticker. I love you, Graham. Oh, thank you, Graham. No, go ahead and let me up. I'm looking forward to actually meeting you in person. Like, I have a feeling it's just going to be super anticlimactic for both of us. Like, we're just going to be deeply disappointed with each other, which I tend to deeply disappoint people. So that works out. Um, I still rock an iStick. This is my original iStick 20 watt. It is the first regulated mod that I had bought, and I have like a 14 millimeter like clone atomizer on top of it from Fastech with like 28 gauge Canthal in there, so I can actually run it because the resistance has to be over 1 ohm. I got all sorts of useless crap on the desk. Here's an iStick Pico with the super custom tape job on the end, which I finally installed Arctic Fox on, and that was awesome. Apparently it took me that long to get on the Arctic Fox train, but completely worth it. So yeah, no, I got junk all over my desk. Trying to see if I missed any like flavor questions because my collection of vaguely non-functional vape mods probably isn't all that interesting. Vandy Vape Capstone has that waterfall squonk. Yeah, that Capstone looks weird as shit. Which, I mean, I'm into it. Moonshot 120 watt tank. I just don't do RTAs and shit. Like, I've never. Maybe I'm just. Maybe I'm just dumb and impatient, but I've never wicked one the right way, and then I just get like frustrated with it. I want to be Eskimo brothers with you in real life. I have a feeling that's not going to go over well with the significant other, though. But we got to make that work. Oh, I don't have the drop solo yet. That's actually kind of on my list. I didn't dislike the original drop, but I didn't like it as much as, like I was saying, like the loop or like the recoil. Um, so I definitely have a normal drop, but it just wasn't quite my thing. I did like it more than a dead rabbit though. But yeah, I do want to get the solo at some point. Graham says no, you do not. Dislikes the drop and the rabbit. Yeah, I mean they're fine. I mean they're fine atomizers, and they're still better flavor than like a sub tank or whatever, and they work all right. But I like them more than like the goons. The goons are trash. Any other decadent vapors concentrates worth getting while I'm on their site? Anything that looks good, really. I've yet to have a really bad flavor from decadent vapors. They are pricey though. And so some of their more complex stuff, like their fruit bomb or like anything that looks interesting, I'd recommend getting just up to whatever budget. But none of it's been like just get whatever you want, pretty much. I don't know. That's like a shitty answer. I want to say Decadent Vapors. What else did I really like from them that I've had? Crystal Blue, actually. If you're into vaping food coloring, I still really do like Crystal Blue. It's like almost like a forest fruit mint with a little bit of anise, but it's also bright blue and super fun. Love that flavor. Dandelion and burdock, really good. It's interesting. It's kind of almost like an herbally, like root beer flavor without the sassafras. It's interesting stuff. Um, I really like their rhubarb and their rhubarb cuddle. The rhubarb cuddle is just their custard version of rhubarb. Those are both really solid. Orangella is a very good orange flavor. Lime zinger is very good uh, for lime if you like that. Their sherbet lemon, great. If you like florals at all, their Parma Violet's probably worth having. I don't like that violet flavor all that much, but it is so much better than FA's Violet. Really want that blue juice, but it sounds not for me. Yeah, I mean, if you're not into the profile, it's probably not worth buying it just because it's blue. But if you are, it's amazing vaping something that trashy and not having a choice. Yeah, Decadent Vapors rhubarb is a good kind of bakery rhubarb. It's definitely not in a Wares rhubarb where it's very bright, very tart. Um, have you tried Vape Trans rhubarb? Because it's not, I don't like it as much as Decadent Vapors rhubarb, but it's pretty solid, actually. It's not nearly as bright. Yeah, whatever I need broken, I can just send to Wayne. Dude, like I don't think Wayne would want to mess with any of my shit. There is no hemo or even like lost vape level hemo here. It is a collection of odds and ends at this point. I think the fanciest mod that I have that I probably paid the most for is the old school DNA 200. I mean, it's fucking huge. It's a huge DNA 200 that just takes two 18650. So I think it's a DNA 133, and I think that cost about $80. I think that's the most I paid for a mod. Everything else was on sale. I think the second most expensive mod that I bought in recent memory was the Vupu VCR, which I still like quite a bit, and that was like all of like 60. Oh, can you make any lychee work? Not really. I mean, it it never really it never really fundamentally changes its character. Is the issue. It's always going to be a little bit floral on the outside. I like Flavora's lychee, but it's a little bit sharper and almost has a weird gasoline vibe, but I prefer that to like the more sort of normal floral, like FA lychee or cap lychee or whatever. Cap sweet lychee is probably the least offensive of the lychee flavors. Adding some citrus can help quite a bit, which is going to make it a little bit harsh. But like lime or mostly just lime, like lychee and lime with a little bit of something with some maltol in it, even TFA sweetener can help knock off some of the harshness. So you can kind of blast out some of the floral notes, but it's hard to make a lychee work. The Aegis is Graham's favorite mod right now. Yeah, and Wayne still hasn't broken that one, so that's pretty cool. Oh, and yeah, Cupcake World rhubarb too. Shout out, Joey. Yeah, that's pretty good too. It's definitely more on the baked side of things too. The Cupcake World rhubarb's solid. Yeah, there we go. Steam's got my back. Couple drops of Favora lime is nice with cap sweet lychee. So yeah, a little bit of citrus. You got to worry out. You're gonna have to worry about it going harsh on you. But I have not tried the new Wonder Flavors concentrates yet. Some of them look interesting. I should probably get around to that at some point. I haven't actually tried a lot of Wonder Flavors. I think I have about a grand total of 6 Wonder Flavors concentrates, and most of them I bought for mixing recipes on the Mix and Vixens. So pear and lychee is a swell combo. Yeah, I don't know if the pear would do much to actually tamp down the floral notes, though. Which I guess with lychee, that's the big thing I want to address, because like it does have that nice kind of like rose hip, almost white grape kind of flavor, but you always just get blasted in the face with the florals. And I feel like the big way to make lychee work is you got to figure out some way to tame down those florals. Graham is usually using talk to text. He has this entire elaborate clubhouse and a big like Star Trek captain's chair that he just goes around looking at screens and yelling at his computer to respond. That's the reason occasionally some of the words aren't in the right order. Yeah, putting a coolant with lychee. That can be a little bit tricky. Do not mix anything even vaguely like a mint or a menthol with lychee, because it tastes like dirty. It tastes like burning diapers, which that's from personal experience. Menthol and lychee is the worst thing in the entire world. So I'd go for a neutral cooling. WS23 would work. I mean, why not? You have to embrace the floral and cancel it out with other florals. Yeah, you could do that too. I mean, if you don't mind a floral juice, then use lychee. Oh, wondering how their waffle is. Cupcake World's waffle, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's no Inawera waffle. It doesn't have that heavy like irony flavor, but I do like it quite a bit more than I like Liquid Barn's waffle and TPA's Belgian waffle. Oh, Polish and German flavors, jar flavors, and Hertz and Silk flavors. I found these brands have the best blackcurrant, creme brulee, papaya, passion fruit, and raspberry. Yeah, I guess I probably need to try some of those at some point. I'm kind of on a flavor buying freeze. I got a ton of stuff that I need to actually write notes and do videos on. The vanilla fudge, I have the vanilla fudge from Cupcake World too. That is pretty good. I want to say, yep, it is black as night. That is blacker than my yellow cake. So vanilla fudge. Okay. Well, dudes, thank you everybody for watching. I think we finally hit an hour. So this count, I can go ahead and file this with my PO as my community service. I have not tried their Reese's flavor, Emily. Super concentrates that cost about $20 for 1 liter, something like that. Anyway, yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for keeping the chat lively. Thank you for keeping me on task. So in conclusion, Vape Train yogurt drink is pretty good. And if you're in the mood for a slightly boozy Country Time, and Sweet Tea Flavor makes up the back nine by ID10 Tea, Alfred Pudding, and Asumoi Dog, however you say that word. So, thank you for watching. If you want to buy our shit and support myself and the lovely other EJM mixers like Steam and ML Nikon and ID10T and Fear and Apexify and all sorts of other cool dudes, we have a one-shot line at Wizard Labs. You can use the code EJM10 for 10% off your order. We also have one-shots at chefsflavors.co.uk. There's 28 plus on there. You can buy some of those. That would be great. But thank you, everyone, for watching. Have a good night. I will catch you later.